Yo, what's going on? This is the NRW, where nerds rule the world. It's your boy, Kuya P, and I'm here for another amazing interview. Today, I have an outstanding actor who's going to give me some special cool points with my little one, because she's currently streaming the series right now, Never Have I Ever. She's a big fan, and so this guy right here plays Mr. Warburton. I haven't had a chance to watch the series yet, but my daughter talks about it all the time, so I kind of know about it. So when she sees that I've interviewed Mr. Warburton, I'll get some cool points. So thank you, David Banks. You're going to see him on the screen in just a second. He's got a bunch of projects coming up. He's been in the business for a while. We're going to talk all about it. He has good taste in t-shirts and comic books. We're going to have some fun. Let me bring him up on the screen. David Banks, how are you, sir?
My man, Kuya, good to see you, buddy. Doing great.
Thank you, man. Thank you for your time, and thank you for these cool points I'm going to get today.
Well, like I said, we already have a lot in common with the stuff in your background going on there. We're both 80s guys. And yes, nerds do rule the world. We're right there.
Yes, dude. Thank you. So, man, you have Never Have I Ever, and you have a bunch of projects, and yeah, but let's take it back to the beginning, man. Where did the creative it for you? You showed me these comic books that you had up the screen. Were you a young? What were you into as a kid? What spurred creativity and that you would take on later in life and with everything you're doing?
Well, you know, it's great because I grew up in and you hear these stories about people growing up in real small towns where everybody knows everybody, and you get the mail, hey, Bob, hey, Sue, hey, Ron. It is one of those towns, and there wasn't really a lot to do. So what we did do is went out. There's a local comic book store. There was the, obviously, the warehouse and all that stuff. Blockbuster was a big deal back then. So that was the highlight of our weekend, was going out, getting the latest comics, going out, getting the latest, I don't want to say DVDs because they weren't DVDs back then. I'm going to age us both right now. The VHS tapes, we'd look like, wow, the whole Be Kind, Rewind kind of deal.
Yes,
you know,
exactly.
And that was our deal. We'd go out, look at the newest horror film and all that stuff. And I was definitely geeking it up in that way because I wasn't really the sports guy. I wasn't too coordinated. So that wasn't my deal. So it was all about music, movies, comics, skateboarding. And that was kind of my thing. And that's what my brother and I, that was what we do. We had the latest like Paul Peralta deck. We're off building like half pipes in our driveway, pissing our parents off. You know what I mean? It's just, that was the life. And that's when, obviously way before social media took over and have just kind of killed everything. You know what I mean?
That is so true, dude. Oh man, you got me reminiscing. There was nothing like those trips to the video store, the rental store, which we don't even have anymore. There's no more Blockbusters.
I think there's one left, man. There's
exactly
one
like
Blockbuster
Oregon,
left,
which I want to visit because, you know, that was a classic time, man. There was nothing like walking through and checking out various independent films, big films, you know what I'm saying, with your friends. What am I going to do this weekend? I'm going to rent a bunch of DVDs, chill out with my friends, and just hang out, play video games, and watch movies. Nothing like it. And then
the best times, man. You would go out and you'd be out in the open and you'd be riding your bike with the little baseball cards and the spokes, and you'd be doing, you know, just dumb kid things, but you will never forget cassette tape breaking down. You'd have to, take it apart and put the pencil in and turn it to all that. Like, I will never forget those times. And it's just, again, unfortunately, I'm not saying children today are robbed of that, but they are. And you try to explain. And the nice thing is a lot of this stuff is kind of coming back as far as the LPs and the albums and stuff. So it's nice to see, because it really is. And I follow a bunch of channels on online also that are just all about that 80s memorabilia and stuff. And it really does. I don't want to pull the guy from Napoleon Dynamite, like, oh, back in the day, I used to be, I'm not going that far, but I do really enjoy those times. And I think about it all the time. And music brings you right back. I still, to this day, find very few artists of today's time that I really get into. I go right back to the 80s metal, 90s R&B. There really is nothing that beats it, man.
Completely agree. I love it, dude. You and I are cut from so much of the same cloth. I love it. I could totally hang out with you. If I'm ever out in LA, man, we got to get up. Or if you ever come out to DC, let's get down, man, and have.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna go pick you up, and we're gonna go to that place in Oregon.
Hey, oh yeah,
we're doing, man.
We can hit up the last Blockbuster. I am with that.
I mean, they'll probably be gone by the time we get there, but it's.
I love it. All right, brother. So you're a fan. You're much like me as a kid. But what do you recall were like the comic books or the books, the entertainment stuff that we consumed as a pop culture fans that kind of inspired this later growth when you became an adult?
You know what? I think a big part of me always tries to kind of go back to get to the fun, because a lot of times right now in the business, as you know, being an actor as well, it's not always really, it's not, I want to say it's not fun, because it is a lot of fun, but there's a lot of business that goes into it, a lot of, okay, sitting down, stressing, memorizing, this is a dramatic thing, what do I do? Finding the character choices. But I think it was Dane Cook that said once, every actor should bring a bit of their own personality into every role. I mean, it's the only way to really stand out. I mean, you see characters like, I'm just going to name a few, Charlie Day, Vince Vaughn, Ben Stiller, that are always, Jennifer Aniston, Melissa McCarthy, always a bit of themselves and every kind of thing. But that's what, if you're competing with 80 to 100 other guys for a role, you kind of got to stand out. And the only way to do it is make it, as they say, make it your own, but also bring a bit of your own personality in there. And it's just, if you can make them laugh along the way too, great, props. But it's not, I don't know. I mean, we're all in this thing together, and it is, yes, it's very competitive, but I try to keep it fun, like I said, because you see a lot of guys that go in there that are just stressing out. Yeah. Oh, I got to get this. If I don't book this, it's the end of the, I've even had a few friends come out here and say, I'm going to give this whole acting thing a year. Yeah. I'm like, really? Yeah. You're going to give this a year? It's like, I'm going to be a professional violinist, and I'm going to do concerts in a year. Never picked up a violin or a bow, but I'm going to give this whole thing a year, dude. I mean, you got to do your hard time. It takes years and years, but I think if you can keep it fun along the way and enjoy it, and that's kind of part of the trick, I guess.
Oh, totally. Yeah. But I feel that you're weathered like I am as well. So yeah. I understand that. But like as a kid, like I was saying, you're watching this stuff as a kid, but then is this what you wanted to do at that point? Or like, what was your initial plans, or were you always, this is what I wanted to do as a career or anything, or did it change? And then getting into like the industry stuff?
Never. This is the furthest thing from my mind that I wanted to do. My thing again with music, lock myself in my room for hours on end, playing drums, just practicing to Rush albums, to Led Zeppelin out. You know what I mean? It's just like, I need to get.
So were you in like high school band? Were you in band and everything in high school?
Yeah, I was in a few hair metal bands at the time.
Love it.
Stuff. Yes. And then that shift went out, and then 80s, 90s grunge took over, and I was like, well, this isn't going to work out anymore. Not really my thing. I mean, nothing against the guy, Pearl Jam and Alison Chains and all those guys. I mean, it's okay, but it just wasn't as fun, and I saw it going down a different path, and I figured, gosh, there's something I got to do here. What else am I going to do that's kind of entertainment based, that allows me to, I guess, be my own boss, be creative, and have fun. So I just kind of, shifted into that side of it, realized how difficult it was hearing no thousands of times. I think it was,
oh yeah.
I mean, you hear the quotes. I mean, Matthew McConaughey said it in one interview, for every 200 no's, you're lucky to get one yes. And I'm like, oh, that's pretty brutal, but it's honest. And then as you progress and you you get a little bit more confident, you bring your own element of you in the room, that 200 maybe becomes 100, then it becomes like 50, and you're like, okay, this is okay. And but it still beats up your mind a little bit. Like, you still kind of take it personal. You still like, wow, you hear no too many times, but then, and that's why, again, the dangers of social media, everybody else is posting all their success, how great they're doing, how they're killing it, how they're crushing it. I mean, I've seen some people that I've had a kind of, I want to say, I haven't unfollowed them, but I've muted them. There's a feature on Instagram you can kind of mute someone for a little bit, that are just like, just booked my 15th job this month. I'm like, okay, enough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, I mean, dude, I'm happy for you. That's great. But do you really need to tell the world that you've done 15 things this month? I've never really been on that train. I like to keep it kind of personal, kind of private, and let the work speak for itself. What you're doing is, and we're all in this struggle together, especially right now. It's a crazy time. There's, we're getting out of this pandemic thing, and now the next brutal thing will come our way, but it's a crazy little journey. And I know you can relate. It's one of those things where you ride the high, the roller coaster is up, you're killing it, you're crushing it, everything's going great. And then guess what? you're down for the repair and there's nothing going on. And it's like a week turns into 2 weeks, a month, maybe two. And it's like,
oh yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. This is real.
Totally. I go back and forth about like posting my wins and losses, because it can be inspiring to some, but then it can also be a drag to others that aren't getting any work. And, and you don't want to be that guy. So I feel what you're saying completely.
Amen. And that's the thing. It's like, I heard this quote years ago and I'll never forget it. It said, when you go to dinner and you eat your favorite plate of pasta, whatever, you put your seasoning on it. You season it lightly, just a little bit. The problem is there's so many people that just douse it with everything. Here's what I'm doing. Here's the show I'm on. Here's what I've got going on. Here's what I just got paid. And it's like, whoa. You season it lightly, you put it out, you sprinkle it tastefully, let people know, hey, I'm doing this stuff. I always I even bring it down a notch. People say, you working on anything? What's going on? I'm like, I just tell them, hey, it's slow. I'm just happy to be doing what I'm doing, which is true. I'm not lying. I'm very grateful for everything that comes my way. I don't take it for granted because we've all had those moments where I said weeks turn into months, even longer of nothing. So I truly get excited for a booking now, just as I did 20 years ago, my first booking. It's just like, I'm still just as like, yes, maybe I'm not as vocal about it, but I'll tell my friends and family like, okay, here we go. We're back on the train again. And but again, it's one of those things where it definitely keeps you grounded up here for sure.
I feel that. All right, let's take it back. Cause I was trying to follow my formula, but then at the same time, you and I we've been in this game a long time. So we kind of got sidetracked to like current stuff. I want to help those youngsters that are watching this as well. Sure. Of like, life's lessons that we did while working into this business. So you got into this, you were in music in high school, you went to, did you go to college for the arts? I know you went to Groundlings.
That was it. Yeah. Right after high school, my folks made the move from NorCal, Petaluma to SoCal. And that's when, like I said, the music kind of was put on hold and I'm like, what do I do? So I didn't really have any time other than just, I remember, and I was just telling a friend of mine today who reached out, who's having, a hard time finding a good rep. And it's hard not only to find a good rep, a manager and agent, but it's also hard to find one that gets your niche, gets what you're about. Yeah, that's the toughest thing. And I remember going out and I would go down Hollywood Boulevard with my 8x10, my headshot. Back then it was black and white. Again, ages me big time, man. When it was headshot, it wasn't 3/4. It was like your head. Yeah. And that was it. And it's all about the eyes and so forth. And I would walk into these places. I would look at the buildings. I'm like, okay, we've got 8 floors here. Let me see. We've got, LA Talent here, Osbrink here, or DD. Oh, okay, these are agents, I think. So I just walk in. No appointment. Just drop off headshots. Again, looking back, I'm like, gosh, what was I thinking? But it was the only way to really, to get your name out there, get your face out there. And half the time they're like, no, sorry, they're not in, but you can leave your stuff here. 90% of them don't ever get back, so forth. And then you did the thing with the mailing out of, here's me and what I've got going on, and with little to no response. And I call it doing hard time. You've got to do that. You've got to get out there, do plays, I did stand up when I sucked, but just to kind of, again, break the nerves.
Yeah.
You do what you can do. You do what you have to do to be seen, and I would say, I think the biggest thing is breaking the nerves down, because if you can't walk into an audition room or any of these rooms or callback or anything with the complete confidence, they smell that a mile away, and they know the fear. And I was the guy that was so terrified. I'm not kidding when I say I would walk into an audition and there's a reason why you don't hold the sides, because I was that guy that was like, I was shaking. I was terrified. I put the sides down. My knees would start shaking. I'd have to lock my knee because I'm like, oh my gosh, my mouth would get dry. My lip would stick to my after reading 2 times or so. I'm like, and all I'm thinking in my head is, get me out of this room. I'm terrified, and it was, but you do this enough, you get in front of enough people, you bomb enough, you suck enough. You have to bomb. You have to bomb, man. Yeah. You have to bomb. You have to fail. And they always say, I love this saying, you have your best audition on the car ride home. When you think, oh, I should have said this. Oh, why didn't I do? Oh, darn it. So I had too many of those moments where I'm like, you know what? I need to turn that around and have the best audition in that room and not be terrified of you walk in. Of course, sometimes you've got the ad agent, the writer, the producer, the client, the session director, the casting director. You've got all these people, and half of them aren't even looking at you. They're doing this. They're like, yeah, great. Okay, next. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. They're not even looking at you, and it's just like, what am I going to do to capture their attention, win the room over a little bit, and again, experience. I'm no different than anybody else. It's just the only thing I might have that's a little bit different is a little more experience in those rooms. And the more experience you have in those rooms and the more rooms you go into, the more comfortable and calm and in control and confident you're going to be. So you start, those start turning into callbacks, start turning into pins and avails and holds. And it's like, okay. So you see these minimal steps gradually just kind of making things happen. And I would use these for a while. I would turn the people that I would see online that I was following, that were my friends that were booking all the time. I used to get frustrated. Then I started turning that into excitement. Like, hey, you know what? They're doing it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to be that guy. I may not post it as often because I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I want to be that guy that has some stuff that he's proud of, that he's going out, he's doing his thing, he's booking more, he's finally got the reps that are in his team that are working for him, that get his niche. I mean, my rep for the first 3 years I was with Agent Wise, and I'm no longer with them, but they said, no, we're not going to send you on a comedy. That's not your thing. We've got enough comedy guys here. That's not your thing. And I'm like, well, I think it can be. I mean, I've tried Groundlings. I've tried, I've gone to this class, this thing. And they're like, yeah, that's just not you. And I'm like, geez. So I felt like I've had to kind of prove, listen, I can be funny and maybe I can't, but I'm going to try. You know what I mean? It's just like, yeah. And you use your disasters and you use your moments of failing and falling and tumbling and sucking and getting cut out of enough things where it's just like, this is just life. I'm just going to turn this into, I'm going to try to keep the glass half full as often as I can and ride this out. But no, at the end of the tunnel, there's going to be some light. There's going to be some hope. There's going to be some yeses. It may take me a little bit longer because I'm not that talented. You know what I mean? But it will happen eventually.
Yeah. Dude, I love your energy, man. I love your energy. You have to, especially when you've been in this game for so long. Again, we're older gentlemen, right? So, you have to have confidence and know yourself in order to maintain and stay strong. So, man, props to you. I just love it. So I know what I tell youngsters out there that are, thinking about this and maintaining this, right? Because you got to maintain this type of lifestyle and energy and desire, right? So when you are down, what are your pro tips on, do you have like family and actually to go back into like my regular archetype of how I run my interview, like how do you, what is your support system like? Like, what do you do when you feel down moment, you're not getting that win and self-care is so important, like getting a massage, going on vacation, or watching a film that inspired you from the very beginning. What are those methods that you do to keep this positivity and energy up? Family and gym. That's it. I don't tend to go to the movie thing. I mean, I do watch a lot of TV, especially lately, but I try to, it's really get as close as I can. I see my mom and stepdad every Sunday. They keep me grounded. They're the best. I love it. That's just, we talk about my week. Was it good? Was it bad? They get it, but they're not. It's just my brother, same thing. My wife, she's on team. I shouldn't say, I don't want to be mean, but I stopped dating actresses a long time ago. Only because my thing was, and I tried this a couple times, and no offense to people that make it work, and I think it's great when you do, but it was a kind of a competitive thing going on to where, oh, you're working and I'm not. Wait a minute, this isn't right. And I'm like, wait a minute, I thought this was going to be nice. We could kind of help each other, motivate each other, encourage each other. We could help each other do our self-tapes and kind of do our reads. But it wasn't that. I find it best when you date someone that's completely out of the whole entertainment thing, that's got, their own thing going on, that, my wife is totally happy for whatever hey, I just got this. She's legitimately happy for me when I tell, I'm the same way with her. She comes home with some good news. I'm like, right on. And again, it's nothing to do. And I think it works for me. Yeah. I mean, there are plenty of people that make it work for them that have these great relationships that both act. And I think that's awesome. Hats off. But that wasn't my thing.
Again, a support group of, like I said, friends and family. I try to be around them as much as I can. LA is a little difficult for that. And they say the average friendship in LA only lasts 3 years because people are so transient. They're so quick in and out. Yeah. They're here for a year, then they're done. Or they want to take. What can you do for me? How can you help me? Kind of, you know, and it's pretty sad. So a lot of my friends aren't in the business, and I do that intentionally. It keeps me a little happier. And like I said, if I'm, you know, we all have, I mean, the depression thing out here is real. I totally, I mean, and it's hard not to think about it. Cause like I said, when you're hitting on all cylinders, you're doing great. You don't have time for depression, but when you have a lot of time, and I just had a discussion with a friend of mine about this last night, and it really hit home. And he goes, how often do you think we work out of 365 days a year? I go, if we're lucky, we may work 25 days out of those. I mean, so the other, 340 days, something like that, are not working. And you're preparing, you're studying, you're reading scripts, you're auditioning, you're self-taping, you're Zooming with little to no results. So those other mass amount of days can really do a number up here. So it's important to, like I said, be around good people, hit the gym, get those endorphins raised, just do something to walk the dog, get out. I mean, many of us, obviously, as you know, we're trapped inside for months, and that's going to take a big toll on us for years to come. And I think they're going to start finding that out now. Like, wait a minute.
This pandemic didn't help.
No. You know what I will say? The only thing it did help, and I will say this, it really helped in terms of the self-tape setup, sending in a tape versus going in person. Because I don't care how locked in you are, how great you are with this character, how memorized you are with this script. When you get up in front of an intense casting director that's doing this, looking right at you, something crumbles a little bit. And you're like, oh, wait a minute. I had this thing locked in and memorized the way here. I just forgot the first flip. Oh yeah. Okay. I got it. You know, there's none of that in your own home, in your own self-tape room, in your own version of yourself. You pick the best tape, you send it in, it's done. You forget about it. You book it. There's really no stress. There's no nerves take place. So that's helped a lot. So that's been a good thing. I will say that. And I'm trying to find the bright side of this whole thing.
Totally, tremendously. You know what? That I think another level, you know, especially where we are in entertainment and story-wise and creatively. Completely. All right, we've given a lot of pro tips, y'all. We've given you some tips, but I want to talk some highlights of your amazing career thus far, man. What was the first big project? Like, damn it, man, I'm here. That just like really put a smile. Your first kind of like big win that, you know, kind of set it off for you.
Oh gosh, again, after hearing no hundreds of times, and I'm kind of a numbers guy, so I keep track of all the no's and all that in the beginning anyway. And what led me to the first yes? The first yes was. And again, I think my problem was I'm naturally so, let's say spastic, but naturally pretty hyper, you know, especially when I'm around people like you, we can just chat, chop it up and talk.
Hell yeah.
That's my normal kind of personality. So when I hate to say it, but when I bring that into a room, it comes across as nervous. So they kind of want to get rid of that guy. Like,
I feel that.
You know what I mean? So I tried something different on the advice of an acting coach. He goes, listen, your thing. And he goes, I like your energy. I think once you channel it and calm it down like 90%, you're going to be onto something. But in the meantime, I want you to try this acting exercise. I said, yeah, what do you want? He goes, when you walk in for your next audition, I want your acting is going to start when you walk in the room. So I want you to kind of like, hey guys, how you doing? Good. Great. How you? Good. Any questions about the character? I'm like, no, it's cool. I think this guy's just he's a crazy, neurotic coke dealer who does a bit too much of his coke. Yeah, I think, I got it. Okay, you got it? I'm like, yeah, I'm good. Action. And then I went into, me, you know, I just was like, hey, he's over here. We got it. And they're like, oh shit, where'd this guy come from? Because I couldn't go in with guns blazing, the same thing. Hey guys, how you doing? Great, yeah. So I was acting, when I walked in, acting like I was really just a calm guy with little to no personality, just very blah. Mm-hmm. Very just mysterious kind of, I was trying anyway, you know what I mean? Yeah. And I walked out and for the first time ever, as I'm doing the scene, I can see him out of my peripheral and I can see them kind of like, you know what I mean? Looking at each other, the producer like that. And I'm like, okay, this is what it feels like to kind of win a room a little bit.
Yeah.
And I thanked him for the time. Hey, thanks guys. Have a good day. And I went back to the acting the mellow guy afterwards, after the crazy rant of this scene. I go, thanks guys. Have a good day. See you soon.
Yeah.
I just walked out and I didn't even make it to the driveway, got the avail for that one. I said, oh, wow. Okay. I get it. So this is how you gotta, okay. Cause again, my thing was I was jumping out of the plane. No real arcs or moments, or I was just, but I figured, why don't I try something a little different? And it worked. And it was hard because, like I said, with a combination of my own personality and nerves that would take over, I would just be that guy that was just way too over the top. And yeah, I was nervous, of course, as everybody is in any of these rooms. But I think, again, you do it enough. And I found, wow, this is it. And that was 2004. A movie with Stephen Bauer, Juan Carlos Esposito, Boris Kudrow. I guess it was kind of an indie thing, but it was, Sony Pictures. It was a pretty big deal for me at the time. And I'm like, wow, this is great. Being around bigger name actors that are working all the time. Just seeing that was like, sure, I was terrified on set. I was super nervous, but everybody was really nice. And, it was Michael Kenneth Williams. He's since passed. Oh. Very, very nice guy.
I worked with him on The Wire.
Oh, dude.
Great guy.
Yes.
Great guy.
Dude, one of the nicest guys, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I was super sad when he passed, dude. Yeah.
Totally,
he was just the nicest guy on set, man.
He was doing little theatrical dance number kind of things.
Yeah, because he was a dancer. Yeah.
He was a dancer. I didn't know that. And he was in between takes and stuff. I'm like, wow. And I thought to myself, that's it right there. That guy right there. He's having fun. He's not taking it too serious. He used I think he had this big scar.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it was from a knife fight or something.
Yeah, his youth from back.
Yeah. And I thought, dude, I've been hit with Bell's palsy. At one point I had the right side of my face was just like, ugh. I have a massive spider bite here. I got in a fight in high school where I broke my nose. I got a crooked nose. I go, my face is not looking pretty. So I'm thinking, but I think if I can go for the character guy, there's you know what I mean? There's no limits. There's no expiration on comedy. I'll be that character guy till the day I die. You might not know my name. I'm totally cool with that. I don't have these high hopes of being the next big thing. I just, there's that one movie called That One Guy in That One Thing. And I love it because it's these guys that are consistently working. You don't know who they are. You don't know their name. But when you see them, you're like, how do I know you? What were you in? You know what I mean? I'm cool with that. That's my thing. I love being that guy. I don't have these, like I said, these great pie in the sky pipe dreams of being the next Tom Cruise. And that I'm cool with that. I'm fine. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah, dude. That was always my thing when I started, because I started as an actor, but then I was like, you know what? As a Filipino, I wasn't seeing a lot of Filipino roles, and that was always my thing to represent for my people, because I wanted to be that guy for Filipinos. And so it's the only way I'm going to make that happen, since I'm not seeing a lot of Asian American Filipino roles, is to be that guy behind the camera. And so, I got into being the crew and producing and doing that. But then I've been so much that guy in front of him behind the camera, and now I'm doing this hosting thing. Now I'm podcasting and stuff, that I've never totally been that the hour guy. But you know what? I have a history now in this game. I have a respect, because I've been on all sides and know how to field it in different ways. And I'd rather have that respect and business that I'm able to maintain and be in this industry. Well,
now now is absolutely your time. It's starting to come up. The big feature with the comedian, I forget his name.
Joe Coy. Joe Coy.
Dude, he's killing it right now, and I love it because it is about time. You start seeing these slow rises. I was just listening to an artist, a '90s artist. Do you remember Jaya?
Yeah.
You know who she is?
Yeah.
She did a lot of stuff with Stevie B and stuff. And back then, I think she never came out as being Filipino. She always, well, it's not. I'm not going to say that, but now she's coming out saying oh, you're Filipino. Oh, I get it. Okay, cool. You're starting to figure these people that are, I get it. And they're coming kind of, saying who they are and what they're about. And it's really nice to see all these people kind of come around now. And you've got, Indians, Filipino, and it's great because I think it's
that they're claiming it. They're claiming it now. Yeah.
Yeah, which is good. I think it's good because a lot of times it wasn't like that, and it was I guess it was unfair. So it's an open market now for anybody and everybody. If you got the talent, you got the chops, do it.
Totally. Yeah, dude, I love it. So, characters. Let's talk about characters you've played. You know, have you? Is there a dream role, or have you had a couple dream roles already that you've always wanted to do and perform? I know for a lot of us, you know, I've always wanted to be a Jedi. Who hasn't wanted to be a Jedi or Sith? And now it's a Marvel superhero, right?
Sure.
Talk to me about or just what kind of characters you enjoy playing. I was on The Wire, but unlike a lot of people, I've always played a lot of thug roles. I was a reporter for 2 seasons of The Wire, but I've did a lot of America's Most Wanted, as cops and thugs. And I have to say, although I hate playing I get a lot of stereotypical thug roles. I do enjoy playing them, but at the same time, again, that's kind of what spurred me to get behind the camera. So how about you? Like talk to me about like characters you like having fun playing, or characters you have played, just that overall experience.
Well, I think it's great. I'm glad you brought that up, because I think and I've got a neighbor that lives upstairs, to me, a great guy. Same thing as you. He's kind of owned that kind of thug, tough guy kind of role thing, and it works really well for him, and it's awesome, and he'll never stop working. And I think there's so many people, when I never understood this, when I hear actors say, oh, well, I don't want to be stereotyped, I don't want to be pigeonholed into, like, well, what's wrong with that? You're working, you know, that's your thing. My thing right now, it's probably because of this creepy, you know, trash stash, but I'm either like, I'm like the asshole cop, I'm the creepy neighbor, I'm the guy that hangs out in the van with candy, you know, I'm the weirdo, and I'm totally cool with that. I embrace it. I love it. I'm not, like I said, I'm not going for the straight guy that's just very normal, trying to be handsome dude. That's just not me. I like being the quirky, odd, weird, sleazy, creepy guy at the office that you just kind of want to distance yourself away from. I'm totally cool with that. To me, it's more fun. There'll never be a shortage of work in that. Like I said, there's just guys that you see that are always the same type. There's nothing wrong with that, because they're consistently working. I don't mind, like I said, being the ass cop, the guy that's just like gonna talk shit, you know, being the jerk or whatever. I'm not like that in real life, so it's you know, it's fun.
That's why we're acting. That's why we're acting. We're playing a role. You made me remember my young self, where I did get upset, and that's why I got behind the camera, because I wanted to defy the stereotype and stop playing stereotypes. So, which I think is still a good thing, you know, and it helped me know this industry a lot better. But now, kind of like you got to know your type now, and to maintain this, what's the word? This time in the industry, right? As long as you've got to know your type, and then after a while, okay, then you can change the paradigm. But if you're like behind the camera like myself, there's a lot of things I'm moving and shaking right now, which I love it. Is because I took the time to learn it more, get my scripts out there to the right people, and so now, you know, I'm gonna create my own industry change. But you got to know to still maintain in this industry, and no, I love it. I love what you're doing with that as well. Have you ever thought, so beyond just being in front of the camera, have you had any desires of like writing your own material, or and getting behind the camera as well, or have you done that?
Yeah, I dabbled into that a little bit, only because I went by the whole Sylvester Stallone thing in the beginning, when I just wasn't going out, wasn't getting, you know, I had an agent tell me once, he goes, I'm sorry, man, I can't even get you arrested. There's nothing I can do for you. So I figured, you know, I got to take the approach of doing my own thing, creating my own content. So a writing partner and I did write something, put it out there, got it out. And it was very, very helpful, because I learned a lot about the producing side of it, everything else that went into it. And I love what you just said about kind of keeping busy, wearing many hats, doing many other things, because the busier you are, the more you have on your plate, the more things that just kind of magically come your way. When you're sitting around at home waiting for it, guess what? That's all you're going to do. You're going to wait. Nothing's going to happen. And I'll never forget, because as we were doing this and we were shooting this thing on our own budget, I was taking out loans, maxing credit cards, just to pay for everything, pay for other actors that I wanted to work with. And then some actors needed to have a certain diet. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't take any of this into account. You know what I mean? And by the end of the thing, I was broke. But I figured, okay, at least I'm going to have a good, what I thought was going to be good. And at least it's going to be out there. We're going to get it on some of the platforms. It's going to, and while I was doing that, it was so nice, because magically all these things started coming my way. I'd have to call in a little bit late for the shoot that day because I had an audition or an important callback or something. I'm like, whoa, things are just kind of happening now. This is really cool. And I guarantee if I had to have made that move, if I had to have taken that chance and spent all my money doing my own thing, none of that stuff would have come by. And again, the nice thing is too, when you want to be somewhere else, they want you there even longer. It's like, okay, well, I got to go. I got to be back on set. You know, I would never say and be that guy. I got to be back on set. But I always was almost like in a hurry in those rooms, giving them just enough, but making them want more. Hey, thanks, guys. Thanks for your time. Got to go. Oh, whoa. Come back. Can we actually have you read for this guy too? Yeah. Okay, let's do it real fast. Yeah. Because I didn't really want to be there.
Yeah.
And they sense that. And then, of course, what happens, you start booking those things. So I try to really
That's always the best, dude. I
that
love
mindset, you know what I mean? And bring that to everything I do. There's that old saying, be the life of the party without wanting to be at the party. You know, you got somewhere else you got to be. That's a little bit better than here. No offense to what you guys are doing. And I would never say that. Like, I don't want to be here because clearly I do. Yeah. But it's almost like just, you know, get in, get out, do your thing. Thank you for the time. Awesome, guys. Bye. And then it's just that it was just something that really just kind of clicked. And it was a nice moment for me because, again, I'd spent so many years just really just wanting to be that guy, wanting to be in the room, wanting to be liked, wanting to be funny, wanting to get their attention, wanting to get the avail and the booking and the shoot. And it just wasn't happening when I wanted it. But as soon as I just kind of surrendered it and said, whatever. If it happens, cool. If it doesn't, that's cool too. It just started kind of slowly happening. But I mean, it's obviously easier said than done. Because we all really, obviously, we want it, or we wouldn't be doing this.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, that shift in mindset was really just crucial to the whole thing. And like I said, when I really was, and there's not too many friends I have that do this. I've got a couple friends that we do talk about our bookings and what we got, and I'm truly happy for them. But there are some friends that are like, oh, you booked that thing? Oh, that's great. That's awesome. Good for you. And they're really not happy. They just want, and that's why you can never really lose by saying, it's just slow. But I do have a couple friends that we are genuinely happy when I tell them, hey, I just got this. They're like, right on, dude, awesome, that's great. And that's a rare thing between fellow actors at this level anyway. It's just because, you know, people are so competitive. And if they haven't worked in a while, that's why I'm very leery on what I say and what I talk about as far as bookings. Like I said, I do share it with friends and family and loved ones. But other than that, I just kind of keep it under wraps because, again, I try to be mindful of that guy or girl that I might be talking to that may not have worked in a handful of weeks or months or even a year. So I really keep it just kind of like, And there's a guy that I went to class with several years ago. Yeah. And I knew he was crushing it. I knew he was doing a ton of stuff. But whenever I had time, I've asked him, hey, what do you got going on? He goes, it's just slow, man. I'm just happy to be doing anything. And I'd look him up on IMDb. He's got like 12 things in the red. I'm like, wait a minute, dude. I know you're lying. I've seen your stuff. I just saw you on TV last night. Right. You're crushing it, dude. But he would never let me know. And I'll never forget that. I thought that was really nice. I'm like, I need to be that guy. Yeah. I don't ever want to be that guy that's just going to rub you the wrong way and tell you sure, I'm happy about it, but I don't need to tell. You know, I mean, if it's something good, they'll see it maybe, and
hell yeah, dude. I'm gonna subtitle this interview "Pro Tips with David Banks and Kuya P" because like this is, I've had many interviews, I do a lot of stuff and actually I think it's good I'm kind of going away from my formula a little bit because I'm really enjoying this conversation, dude. And I think a lot of the young actors and filmmaker friends that I have that support me and watch what I do will really enjoy this. And I'm digging this. So
we got a lot in common, man. Like I said, we've gone down that seems like very much the same path.
Yes.
Of the ups and downs and the struggles, and we can relate. And I think there's something really nice about that. Every blue moon, you will run into that guy that's like, oh yeah, I got discovered on the basketball court. Some guy came by and put me in a movie, and it's been nonstop ever since. I'm like, dude, I don't want to hear that. I mean, it does happen, but it's like winning the lottery. It's very rare. I think, again, I love hearing the struggles and the journey and the no's and the even worse, which you start getting the yeses, but then the yeses turn into a big film you book, but then you get cut. And it's like,
dude.
You know what I mean? I'm sure you've had that happen too. And
that recently happened with that Netflix disaster film. I worked, that was the last big kind of major thing, but then they totally cut my scene. The one with Leo and Jennifer Lawrence.
Oh gosh.
I forgot the name of that thing, but it like dropped like last year. But yeah, I was telling a lot of people, but then I was like, you know what? I shouldn't tell a lot of people. So I stopped. And then all of a sudden it started coming in and people were like, oh, weren't you going to be in that? But why haven't you talked about that? Because I don't know. I don't know if my piece will make it. And then sure enough, it didn't make it. And so I was happy I didn't say anything. And then, but my other friends were like disappointed. And and I'm like, it is what it is. We saw your name in the credits though. Yeah, that was cool. But
yeah, I've had that too, where it's like,
You know, they still keep your name in the credits, but then they cut you. It's like,
Yeah, I just had that happen too. And it's a very humbling thing, and it happens to us all. Yeah. And I remember what helped me once. I think it was Jason, I forget his name, comedian guy, funny guy. And he had his first big breakout role in a movie with Robin Williams. Jay Moore, I think his name is. With Robin Williams. Yeah, huge scene, like a couple, I think 2 or 3 big scenes with Robin Williams before he passed. And he was just like, this is it. This is my ticket. I'm going to put this in my reel. It's going to be great. It's going to blow me up. Every scene was cut out. And he said, you know what? Happens to everyone. And if your character isn't an integral part of the film, it doesn't carry the film, and they can cut it and shave it and get rid of it, they're probably going to do that. So don't ever think for a second, you know, I remember one, it happened to me where I was so stoked. The film with me and Heather Graham and Chris D'Elia. I'm like, this is going to be awesome. A really funny scene. I got to improv, have fun, make up my own stuff, threw a bunch of funny bits in there. I went to the premiere, everything sat down, wait, and I'm like, here it comes. Yeah, click, cut to the next scene, totally cut out. I'm like, oh. I mean, it felt like someone had taken a knife or like more like a samurai sword and I was just like, oh, no name in the credit, nothing. And then I think at that point, this is a while ago, but I even added my name in the credit thing in the beginning because I thought, obviously, I'm in it. I'm going to add myself in it. You know, it's going to be awesome. And then right after the film came out, like my name went from like the character name to uncredited. You know what I mean? Because it's like it was totally cut out. Yeah. And that was a moment I could have gone 2 ways. I could have thought, you know what? I quit. This is it. This is screwed. I can't take this anymore. Or I'm going to fight. And I'm going to, I don't care how many times I'm going to hear no, I'm not quitting. I'm going to keep doing my thing. And I'll never forget, because I think the next thing I booked after that, I was invited to the premiere again too. And I took the director aside. I'm like, hey man, how you doing? He goes, good. Your scenes turned out great. I go, good. Did I make it? Did I make the cut? Did you cut me? And he goes, what do you mean? No, I didn't cut you. Why would I cut you? But I was just so like, at that point, you
get triggered.
You get, dude, yes. And
PTSD. Crazy. Total PTSD of what we do.
Yeah. Totally, dude. And he's like, what do you mean? Why would I cut you? You're part of the movie. I'm like, oh, yeah. Okay, good. You know, but it's just, again, it's that natural kind of thing your mind does because you've been cut so many times. And like I said, it hurts because it goes from levels of not booking, not being, noticed at all. And then you finally get noticed, you do your thing, you find out who your character, your niche is, your type is, and you start getting things, opportunities. Yeah. It turns into the avails, the callbacks, the bookings. But then, like I said, then the bookings turn into not being seen at all. So it really is this just like the most intense mental roller coaster that your mind goes through. And you wonder why these guys are depressed and they're on so many different meds and they're, you know what I mean? It's like, I get it. Yeah.
I remember the film. It was Don't Look Up. And it was a stellar director too. And it got nominated for the SAG afterwards for best cast. I was like, oh, okay. I will get best cast, but then, my name's still in the credits. I was part of the cast. I was selected by, this amazing director, and they didn't win best cast, but got a lot of acclaim, but I was still, they cut my shit. But I was still people getting me hype about, hey, it was nominated, but they still cut my shit. Why should I give up? You'll still get a certificate or whatever, like, no, like but those are the ups and downs, and you just got to roll with it but let it inspire you and keep you motivated and
it's got to inspire. And I kept hearing that saying, let it inspire you, let the failures inspire you. I'm like, I never understood that, but it's got to inspire you to keep going. I mean, if you're a marathon runner and you don't make it the first 3-4 times, you're going to keep running. I hope, you're going to keep progressing and studying and practicing and training and keep your spirits up. And, and that's why, to me anyway, that's just me. I don't think a lot of actors will agree, but that's why I really like doing commercials. A lot more. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because it's just, it's 30 seconds. There's not a lot of heavy lifting dialogue wise. You can have fun. You're there to kind of, they're almost expecting you to kind of bring your own magic and creativity and your own buttons and tags and humor. Yeah. Now, as you know, in the episodic world, co-stars and guest stars, it's different. You're there to deliver the pizza and just deliver it for the other actors. It's already written exactly what you're going to say. There's not a lot of room for playing unless you've got, unless you're working with like Woody Allen, who's all about improv, just having fun and creating it and doing your own thing. But for the most part, it is a different animal, different beast for sure. And that's why I personally like commercials a little bit more. Again, you're there for one day. Yeah. You're having fun. create your magic, get out, leave. And I love the entire process. I love how, which take are they going to use? Which scene are they going to use? When the director says, hey, you know what? We've done what we wanted to do already. Now it's time to play. Now do your thing. What do you want to do? Let's have some fun. I'm like, to me, that's gold. I love that.
I'm with you. That reminded me, because again, and we're old school cats. We've been in this game a bit. And now, there's this new generation, and we even talked about how social media has changed things and like YouTube, which is what this is going to be on. And like how there's these TikTokers now and keeping up with this. What do you think about that as an old school actor? How like there's these TikTok stars that are now also trying to get into our industry, which, I'm not going to hate on anybody, whatever's your gateway, but like they think it's like an instant transition how do you keep up with that? Because I was also checking out, you've got a large social media presence with your Twitter. I think it was your Twitter or your Facebook. You come in and you talk about a lot of different stuff, which is wild. Like I even saw, I think I wrote in my notes because you had made a post about like NFTs and like I've been trying to learn about it, but at the same time, I don't know if I want to get into that shit because there's so many different things. But you feel obligated as old school cats, right? To maybe that's what I need to do to keep up. So I think I'm all over with my question there, but like, what do you think about this transition and these new realms of entertainment that are now kind of crossing into our fields?
Well, that's a great question. And, and I'm going to tread lightly on this one because I think first of all, when you say the word TikTok stars, I treat that about as importantly as I do like a porn star. There's nothing star about being you know what I mean?
The viral, going choices. Viral.
Yeah, that's because there is, for them to think they can just go from that to what we've done and doing, again, they haven't done their hard time. I don't think it's fair when they're getting in just by their social media presence. You got to have merit. You got to have talent. You've got to have done your hard time. You've got to have been told no so many times and go through the heartache and the grief and the crap that we've been through. You don't just get to magically walk over here because you got 1 million followers. I mean, there's guys that I see that. And again, hey, hats off. That's awesome for you. You've done it. You found a way to get in. That's great. But don't just think you can get in without going to classes, without being told no, without being, again, you have to fall on your face. You can't just go out and expect things to, again, and a lot of these people are much younger than I am, and they get in, and I don't think they're really going to value and appreciate what they have later because it's going to be taken away because again, you've made it this quick, this far, this fast. You don't even know what it feels like to suffer. I don't say it's suffering because it's not that bad. We're not suffering, but we're, just to take that mind fuck with your head. You haven't gone through that like we have.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's fair. But if you're going to do it and you're going to take it serious and you're going to go out and you're going to train, you're going to do the classes, you're going to do everything it takes, and then that's okay. But I think there's a cutoff. Like for me, I'm okay with just Instagram and Twitter. I got rid of my Facebook, actually. I don't have TikTok. I'm not on Snap, all that stuff. I decided to cut it off at a certain point because I don't want to just go too far. And that's just me personally. And that's me probably showing my age a little bit too as well. I'm a little old school when it comes to that. There's certain things I will do and won't do. And again, I'm happy for them that have made it. If you can find a way to make it that side, that's great. But do I respect the you know what I mean?
It's the respect thing. Yeah. I hate that I'm sounding like we're shitting on them, but I give respect to those that are actually putting in the work. Like there was the Cranberry guy that was on a skateboard, the Latino guy, or I think it was, I don't know if he's Latino, but he was the Cranberry guy on a skateboard. He started becoming viral, and now he's on Reservation Dogs, and I love Reservation Dogs, and he's a great actor in it. And I was like, okay, props. So he must have put in the work. I don't know if he did, but I think he's great on Reservation Dogs. But just there's these, this younger set that just think everything's owed to them, and their mind's so big because they have so many followers, and us cats have been in the industry that don't have the same amount of followers, and then because I've been on set with these guys, and they just give you a level of, you feel that disrespect, and you're like, really, dude? You don't know how long I've been this, and they just think they're hot shit, man. And
and so that's what it is right there for me. You just said it. hey, you know what? If you're grounded and you're humble and you're easygoing, like I'm really, really, really big on just being humble, being grateful, being, and it seems like the higher up you get, as far as the people you work with that are a little bit higher up, they're usually a little bit nicer. For some reason, it's the ones that are in the middle or just the B level thing that feel like they need to act a little bit more, I'm better than you kind of thing. I'm never okay with that. But I also try to think about, okay, wait a minute. There's probably a lot of pressure on this YouTube star or this viral TikTok guy, because when you watch their stuff, they're being judged that, wait a minute, this guy, can he act? So there's probably a lot of pressure on them too. So I try to kind of keep in mind that they're probably under a lot of pressure too, because again, you're being looked at. Okay, let's see what you got. Let's see the chops you have. So they might have that ego because they're just trying to fill that void of like, well, wait a minute, maybe I need to behave and act this way because everybody else does, which you don't. I think you're going to go a lot further if you're just, and I will never forget the one people I've worked with, and I know you've seen this too, that are just, again, humble, happy to be there, that go greet you no matter what. Hey, I'm so happy you're here. How you doing? Good, good. Any questions? Do you want to run the scene beforehand, or anything I could do for you? I'm like, what are you talking about? No, thank you. But and I'll never forget that. And you do meet the ones that are like, and I'm big on this, when you meet someone, hey, how you doing? They're like, yeah, great. You good? Yeah. There's no eye contact.
Yeah.
They're like, it's almost like they treat you as if you're background or something. I'm like, wait, I'm not okay with that. And I'll never forget this. This is something that sticks in my head. And I was almost kind of angry. There was a PA on set for something I did several years ago. But the lady, I went in there, and it was, I forget what it was. It was like a Kohl's commercial or something, a funny commercial. And I asked the lady, I said, hey, where's craft service? Where's the food? She goes, background was told to eat before you got here. Like, really mean, right? And I was like, oh, really? Principals too? She goes, oh, you're a principal. I'm so sorry. Oh, yeah, it's over here. I'm like, wait a minute, what? And I stopped her. I go, that's not very nice. She goes, what do you mean? I go,
wow.
You thought I was a background, and you were treating me like dirt. As soon as you found that I wasn't background, then all of a sudden you're nice. That's not very nice. And I said it in a nice way. I wasn't trying to come down to her level, be mean and rude. Yeah. I go, that's not very nice. I mean, you got these background here that are putting in a lot of their time too. And they're probably just, they want to be at this level, and they're trying, but you get discouraged like that. You get talked down to, you get treated like dirt. That's not a way to start anybody's career on the right path. You're just going to be like, oh, geez, and I to belittle anyone. I don't care how big you are, who you are. You have no right to treat someone that way ever. There's never, it's never okay. And I think I blame my mom, my parents for that, and stepdad at this point, because they're very, very kind and loving to everybody, no matter who you are, where they are, what mood they're in. They're always treating people with respect, very sweet, very nice. And my mom, I'll go to the store, and it's almost like sometimes my mom's so cute. She's like, oh my gosh, I love your hair. Can I give you a hug? I mean, she's just like the sweetest lady. And I'm like, Mom, sometimes it's embarrassing, but I'm like, but I love it. Because it's not an act. That's just her. That's her mood. That's how she is. Yeah. And I love that about her. She's just the kindest, sweetest. And I'm so happy that I've been raised by someone like that. And my stepdad's the same way. They're just so kind and loving to everybody. Yeah. And it's just, and that, to me, I'll never forget that. And that's kind of how I like to be too. We're no better than anybody else. We're just, like I said, we might have a little more experience on certain things, but that never gives you the right. And I've noticed this too. People that act that way, their career usually doesn't last very long, because people catch on to that. This is a small town, a small business, and sure, good news and talent travels fast. But tell you what, bad news and bad energy and toxic energy and being an asshole on set, that travels even faster. And I've seen a lot of guys, their career just watching crumble because of this self-entitled ego attitude thing that they bring on set. And sure, some of these guys have talent to back it up, but I don't care who you are. That gives you no right to think that you're better. And let me brush this guy off and act like it's disgusting. To me, it's gross. And I see right through it. And usually it stems from insecurity for whatever reason, or they just think you have to be that way. I'm at this next level. Let me be a jerk now. I'm like, no. Yeah. And I'll call people on it now too.
Hell yeah.
You have to. Because if you don't, nobody else is. And they're just going to be, So dude, I don't mind telling them.
Well said. And your mama and stepdad raised a good man. I love that. That's amazing, dude. Real talk. Oh man. We're giving so many pro tips, y'all. I hope you enjoy this. I'm having such a great conversation with you, brother.
Been a blast, man. Seriously.
Hell
I love
yeah.
the fact that we click like that because we have so much in common.
Dude, like I want to bring you on some other shit. We got to talk, but I want to make sure I'm also promoting shit for you as well. But this has been such a great conversation. And again, yeah, I hope y'all are taking this heart and learning. But yeah, your mother and stepdad raised a great kid, dude. You've got a good head on your shoulders, man. And you don't see that, especially in this industry. You know, we're few and far between. But let me talk about the cool points you're giving me as a guest right now. Never have I ever. And speaking again, keeping it in the vein of this new millennial generation, because that's like hip with these kids. There's very few films and shows I can talk with my daughter that she gets hype about. So talk to me about getting on this series and your character, Mr. Warburton.
Yeah, again, it was kind of my thing, you know, sleazy, creepy landlord kind of guy, you know. And it's funny because we didn't really know what the character was going to be about when I went in. I mean, I gave the best version I could of my self-tape, gave him 2 choices. My spin on it was very kind of creepy, sleazy kind of guy. Like, hey, if you're gonna do some adult performing in that room, put down a tart, right? He's like real sleazy guy. And I could tell the director was like, oh, whoa, okay. We're going a little too creepy on this guy. Bring it back a little bit. Like, okay. But that way it was fun because again, I don't know why. I tend to really like these just when I see something in the breakdown, and my agent knows this now too. He goes, I think I got something you're gonna really like. This guy's a real slime ball. And I'm like, yeah.
Hell
so
yeah.
I tend to like, and I always say you can always bring it back a little bit. But the weird thing now with today's humor, and I'm sure you're noticing this on anything from commercials to series, the comedy thing is a little bit more, you're seeing a little bit less of the over-the-top Will Ferrell, Zach Galifianakis, Jim Carrey types. You're seeing more of the, what I call the Jason Bateman, dry, sarcastic, throw it away, very conversational, very real, very just deadpan kind of humor. That's like the new thing. That's the new trend for comedy. So it's been a tough thing for me to really bring that guy down to the real, just kind of mellow, you know, which is, but again, it's a nice new challenge too. But
very true. It is a challenge. Yeah, it's
a challenge. Yeah, because again, and that's why I really admire guys that have made the shift. I mean, look at like Michael Keaton, who was the kind of the over-the-top funny character comedy actor in the 80s. And now look at him in like Dope Sick. Look at him in The Other Guys. Look at him. He's the straight, narrow, just kind of just still funny, but keeps it grounded, keeps it real. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I really admire guys that have been able to take that shift and just go with it. And it's just like, wow, it's really inspiring. But it's also, it's kind of sad because I do miss the old comedies like Anchorman and all that stuff that were really, I mean, I can't even think of the last funny, like laugh out loud funny comedy that have been in theaters. I can't think of, it's been years, you know?
I would agree with you on that. I would definitely agree with you.
Weird?
Yeah, definitely.
So that, I don't know. I just kind of, I brought that thing and I thought you can always take me down, but I wanted to start kind of high on this, you know, on my take of the character and do my thing. And it was, I don't know. I mean, I still have those nerves where, and I just read a post that, Porna, the girl that plays the mother in Never Have You Ever, she just posted something on Instagram last week, and I thought it was so I mean, she's such a sweet lady. She posted something on Instagram when she was working on Better Call Saul, and she posted, I think she was saying something on the lines of like, man, I was really nervous on this set. I felt really out of place. Like, can I bring it? Can I do it? I'm like, wow, someone like her at that level was nervous? That was like, wow, this blew my mind. She goes, but they all took me in and embraced me and treated me very nice, made me feel right at home. And her scene was awesome. Yeah. And I was like, wow. I mean, but it just really felt nice to hear someone at that level talk about the nerves. And we can all relate to that and not feeling at ease. And
completely agree.
You know, am I here? Am I okay? Am I the right character for this scene? Because you question yourself, you second guess yourself, you doubt yourself. And like we all do, we're natural. We're humans. We're not going to, and I'm certainly that guy that always thinks I could do better. I could be funnier. I could be smarter, wiser, quicker, faster, funnier, you know, bring my improv game at the next level. And I'm always just kind of, I guess, a little bit hard on myself. But when you hear people like at that level say that too, it's like, wow. Because you try to bring a certain level of confidence into those rooms, and especially when you're on set. And it's got to be tough these days because, again, like I said, the majority of it is I mean, I just had my first in-person callback last week for Beverly Hills Cop 4. This is the first time I've been in a room on a theatrical level in 3 years. You know what I mean? It's
wow.
just like, I was nervous, but I was definitely off book with it. I went over it like 500 times. I had my tags prepared, my buttons prepared. I was going to be, and it went really, really well. And then I thought to myself, I'm like being my own cheerleader for a second. I thought, man, yeah, I'm nervous, but I went, David, you have nothing to be nervous about. Everybody else is in the same boat. Everybody else that you're auditioning with, that you're competing with, so to speak, is in the same boat. They probably haven't gone out in years either. So it's a fresh new slate for everybody. It's not like one's going to be much better than you, because if anything, I might have gone out a little bit more, because a handful of commercial auditions are in person right now. I'd say probably 20% of the stuff I go out for commercially is going to be in person. So at least I've got those kind of, my tools are constantly being sharpened in those rooms. I had an in-person one yesterday for a commercial, but again, it's pretty rare. But again, on the theatrical level, that was really rare. So I'm almost pep talking myself, saying, David, you got this. You're going to be good. You're prepared. You've done your homework. You're going to be fine. You're in the callback for a reason. Stop beating yourself up. Stop doubting yourself. So I'm constantly going back, and I had this battle with myself on the way there as I'm driving. You know what I mean? It's just like, David, stop it. You're good. But
we're always, you gotta believe in yourself. Totally. Do you go back and forth between, the beauty of the pandemic was that we got to self-tape a hell of a lot more, which has been amazeballs. But then it was awesome, I gotta say too, to have the in-person, right? Because then you can get that a little bit more feel from what they're looking for, right? But at the same time, there's this. If I don't get it, that shit, I didn't at least have to drive all the way in and deal with the traffic and all that headache, right?
Yeah.
Fuck it. The self-tape has been dope, but yeah, there's something to be said about the in-person experience.
Definitely hot. Well, to me, in a perfect world, I'd like to see it be this way. I'd like to see every initial audition itself. I'd love to see that self-tape, but then for the callback, then call us back to the room. You know what I mean? So we can kind of talk back and forth, do what we're doing right now in person. You can give me notes. You can tell me, hey, I didn't like that. Try it like this. I love that. Now try it like this. It's a lot easier to do that in a room, face to face. Like I had my in-person callback yesterday, commercially was in person, but the director was Zooming, so he wasn't really even there. I'm like, no, wait a minute, I made the drive. Why aren't you making the drive, brother? Right. So that was like, but it was still good. It went great. So I would prefer the callbacks to be in person, but I would love it if they stayed the way they are as far as the initial audition itself, self-tape. You don't need to see 80 to 100 of us coming in and clouding up a room and potentially spreading whatever else is out there at this month. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let us stay home and do that. Let me roll out of bed and relax a little bit, give you a great self-tape that I can work on and send you the best version. And if you like it, great. If you don't, cool too. But if you do, then call me back in for the callback and I'll give you something and we can play a little bit in the room for the callback. I think that would be great, personally.
Completely agree. Yeah, you know what? Now, you're union too, right? You're SAG-AFTRA. I think that's definitely something we should fight for as a union, because again, you were like saying earlier, we work 26 days out the year, and then let's add in the days we are putting in for self-tapes, auditions. That's like that really fills up the next probably 100, 65, 100. Let's give that like a little bit more, and then the rest of it, training, work, other stuff, but
easily.
So much time is put in for the audition process and self-tape process that, dude, like if we could self-tape for the initial and then in person, let's change the system. Actors Union, SAG-AFTRA, let's fucking fight for that shit. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Just like we're fighting for this. Are you getting the calls? I already voted on this damn Netflix agreement, and now I'm getting calls about it. I already voted yesterday, dude. Leave me alone.
Exactly.
Man,
well, I forget who I heard this quote once, and I'll never forget. I wish I knew who said it, but they say, okay, when us as actors, what we're doing when we're doing the studying and the training and the working and all the preparing and the auditioning, that's the work. The vacation is the shoot. You know what I mean? You've earned that vacation by all the hard time you put in, all the homework you've done, all the studying you've done. So I think it's really nice. It's true. It's a vacation. When you and I are on set, it's like, okay, cool. You got the craft service over there. You got the AC in the trailer over here. You're being fed well, being treated well. It's great. And there's something about that. When you go home, you kind of miss it. You're like, oh man, now I got to go back to studying and working again. So true. So true.
All right, brother. Let me get back on track again, showing you some love with some of your recent projects, dude. Again, pro tips from David Banks and Kuya P. That's what this episode's all about. I love it. Rutherford Falls. You were on Station 19, Afterparty. How much fun was that and working with those casts?
That was great. I mean, Ed Helms is just a comedic genius. That guy, again, another one who's honed in on his gift and his talent of being the certain character he is. He's that very likable, funny, kind of nerdy type character, and he's mastered it. And it's, going back to the old, old school and all that kind of stuff. Not old school. What was the Hangover? Sorry, the Hangover. And he's just mastered the art of being him. And I love just kind of, and I'm the guy that kind of just observes and does a lot of watching in between takes. Like, what is this guy going to do next? And again, you get someone that's so on point with their improv. It's inspiring. I love. And I think that day was a little tough because we were at the studio for about 11 hours outside in the hot sun for like 7 of those hours. And by the time it got to my scene, I was just like, I was hot. I was just like, I was tired. I was forgetting my lines. I felt horrible. And they kept throwing different lines at me. So you never know what kind of thing you're going to be thrown that day. And it was, again, almost like, okay, you're on now. And by the way, here's a new script. Entirely different than what you thought it was. I'm like, wait a minute, hold on, and action. Oh, whoa. So it was one of those things again where I'm like, okay, I've got to be a professional. I've got to be, and again, of course you're nervous. You work with these guys that you admire and look up to and think are phenomenal. You want to do your best and you want to, shine and you want to be at the same level, but it's really, again, your mind playing tricks on you a little bit like, oh boy, okay, this is going to be a good show. And it's, again, obviously I'm a huge fan of these kind of type comedies and stuff. So to be around that was just like, wow, it's a gift. And but I'll never forget that again, made me a lot sharper. When I drove home that day, I'm like, David, you need to study more. You need to practice more. You need to be a little bit less nervous to whatever that takes to get to that point. I'm like, for example, like I love these energy drinks, but you know what, guess what? I stay far away from these things if I'm shooting. Or if I'm going to be on set, if I'm going to be in an audition, I won't even touch these things because it takes what I naturally have anyway, and it takes it to level 10. And I've done that. I made the mistake once of drinking like a half of these before an audition. I'm like, hey guys, how you doing? Great, good to see you. Yeah, any questions? No, I'm good. Let's have fun. Let's do it. Okay, cool. And they're like, whoa, dude.
Yeah.
I'm sure they thought I was, on coke or something, but it's like, it's not a good mix, not a good recipe for me to do something like that when I'm naturally, like you and I, we're naturally kind of just outgoing and hyper, and outspoken.
Got the adrenaline pumping.
The adrenaline, dude, it takes you to another level, and I'm like, it's not a good thing. I gotta stop.
Hell yeah. Well, dude, man, I love that you're steadily working, dude. Let's also talk about how you were recently selected to join Harvey, Guillen, and Alison Rich in Cursed Friends Forever. Talk to me about that. What is this all about?
Yeah, that was a fun one. And again, it's watching this guy Harvey just really blow up. I think and before that, I just watched him on the series Reacher, which is really good.
Oh yeah, on Prime Video.
Yeah, great, right?
Yeah,
it's really good. So I kind of was familiar with his work on there. Again, super nice guy. Had a fun little scene with him. I'm just, it's one of those things where and that came out of nowhere. That was one of those like, I think you auditioned for this months ago, and and that's the nice thing about this business, as you can relate to as well. You throw these little bones out there, you plant these seeds, you do the best thing you can, you really forget about it, and then all of a sudden a month or two or more sometimes in the film world come by and you're like, oh yeah, you booked that thing. I'm like, what thing? I don't remember trying out for that. When did I do this? Oh, that was months ago. I'm like, oh, okay. And that's just kind of an exciting thing because again, you never know what kind of impression you're going to make in that self-tape, in that best version of you. That's why I always try to send in the best tape I can. And even if I don't like you, I always say, if you book the job or not, that doesn't matter. It's about making a fan in that room. The cast director clearly might not have used me for that, but like, hey, you know what? He's going to be great for something else that I'm doing. And these guys are always doing something else. And you look at the momentum, and I've seen this over the years, and I really love it. You get guys like that are consistently working. It's the level everybody wants to be at. But they're working. I remember him saying, yeah, I'm going to Belize next week if I can have the week off. Because so many things are being thrown at you at that level, and you're turning things down. You're saying, and there's there's a power in what they say, saying no is a password to the next level. These guys at some point turn down things. They say, no, I'm not interested in that. No, I'm already working on something else. No, I don't think it's right for me.
Yeah.
I just read that Porna actually was going to turn down the main lead role in Never Have I Ever. I'm like, wow, okay. So, I mean, that's kind of inspiring to hear that, like, I'm not going to do that. And I think that's a great place to be. And I look at that, I'm like, wow, what a nice place to be. Again, he wants to take a little vacation, go to Belize. Who doesn't, right? You know, and then all of a sudden, like, no, or I might not. I might stay here and be offered because I think this job came to him last minute too. And what a great place to be at. It's just, again, when things are just being thrown at you because of your talent, your niche, your hard time, you're 20 or 30 years into the business, where I love hearing stories like that. You know what I mean? Because like I said, we're playing the lottery every day. We're scratching tickets and hoping of winning. Some are the big spin. Some are just enough to get our money back. Some are enough to, you know, co-star in something we never heard of, but it's a nice project. And you get there, I'm working with this cat. I love this guy. Oh my gosh, I love this girl. Whoa. So it's a nice little treat. And you never know what kind of surprise you're going to run into. And I think that's honestly what keeps me going is not knowing what tomorrow's going to bring. Is it going to bring absolutely nothing? Or is it going to bring an opportunity of a lifetime that's going to change my year, change my career, you know, and catapult to the next level? We don't know. And that's the exciting thing. And the only thing that's going to stop that is if you and I quit. And we're not quitting because we enjoy doing this. We're riding the high. It's a rush. It's my drug. You know, again,
Hell yeah.
Right? You know what I mean? The uncertainty of not knowing, but also like, whoa, this just happened. Oh my gosh, this is great. Am I going to be cut out? You know, I don't know. But all those levels and excitement, it's really kind of it can take a number on your head, but it can also be really exciting. I love that part of it.
Totally. Dude, I love this, man. Again, I'm loving this interview because
it's been a blast, dude.
I feel you're so much like myself and we're cut from the same cloth, and it just makes me feel, it makes me feel seen because I know I'm not alone. I've been going through the same experience. It's that shared experience that even though I've went through shit, everybody goes through shit because you've gone through that shit. And we've had those successes that have been big wins and we've celebrated it. So thank you, dude, for this. And I want to close out with also something that, which is making me love you even more as well. When you're not working, you're working with the Tourette Association and you're working with the Humane Society. I love animals. I'm actually getting ready to adopt this weekend 2 more dogs into my home. I'm a dog lover. I already have one dog. We last year lost 2 other ones, but we got one, and now we're gonna adopt another 2 from a friend who's now traveling he's gonna be working with the State Department. So we're taking on their 2 dogs because we didn't want them to give up the dogs and have those dogs be separated. So we're like, you know what? I'll take those dogs. So now they will be together. We've always watched them when they went out traveling and on vacation. So I'm like, let's go ahead. Those 2 dogs are already used to our dog. Let's have them be part of our family now. And
dude, God
love
bless
it,
you,
man. So yeah,
that honestly that touches my heart. And there's nothing worse than losing. I just lost my terrier Bells of 13 years at the beginning of the pandemic, and it just tore my heart out. And it's, you know, and I was thinking,
family,
okay,
dude,
you know what I mean? And when's the right time to foster, to take in another one? My brother and his wife foster cats all the time. They've got these, and it's so amazing. It touches my heart. And I was thinking, okay, I need to bring another terrier into my life. When's it right? But I found it was so hard during the pandemic to take it because they were all being snatched up. They were having like bidding wars at these Humane Society. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? So I had to go on to Craigslist, which doesn't even allow pet adoption. So it was up for like 10 minutes. I'm like, okay, got the number. Call. I go, I'll be right there. You know, and my wife and I went and adopted the dog, and it's been life-changing. She's made our lives better. There's nothing more I look forward to than coming home from whatever day I'm having. She greets me with love, jumps up on me. She's the best little snuggler in the world. And it really makes me a better person. In fact, I'm going to hold 1 second. I'm going to go grab her for 1 second so you can see her.
Okay, let's do that.
Okay. Here's my new one.
Hey.
My little.
What's her name?
This is Kira.
Hi, Kira.
And she's poodle mixed with Jack Russell Terrier. So she's got the little mellow side of the poodle, but also the very spastic, energetic.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying. Jack Russell is spastic.
Yes, but I get the best of both worlds. Because like I said, she's super mellow, but when it's time to play, go outside, she's all about it.
Awesome.
You know what I mean? And so it's like it's just the greatest. Again, the right little pet can change your life. You know that, man.
Oh yeah.
It's just there's nothing better. It's that whole thing of unconditional love. They're no matter what day you're having, they're the happiest to see you, and it's just like And the hardest thing, as you know, is obviously, going to any humane society or pound and seeing these. It's like because you want to adopt all of them.
Oh, always. I'm taking you all home. I think as creatives, we're empaths. We feel so much.
Yes.
It's heartbreaking to go. Sometimes I don't even want to go because I know I'm gonna want to adopt them all. So
and what broke my heart is I guess towards the tail end of the pandemic, I was hearing that a lot of these people were giving the dogs back.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. You're gonna give your child back? You're gonna give your it's like come on.
Yeah.
I just those kind of people shouldn't be adopting dogs anyway. If you can't take full responsibility, and it's just that's not okay. And it's when you see it again, and it went from the pound being just maxed full of pets, and they couldn't and they're putting them down, and then to like nothing where I couldn't even adopt because they're sorry. Oh, the one you like Lulu over there? Yeah, we've got a big demand on her. We're gonna have a little auction on her on Friday. I'm like, you're gonna auction? So if I don't come in with hundreds of dollars, you're gonna give them to someone else that may or may not bring him or her back. And it's like, this isn't right.
Yeah.
So that really was, I can't even imagine. And I'm sure you're the same way too. I was raised, we always had, collies and labs and manxes and cat. I mean, you name it. I've always had a pet in my life.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
And I can't even imagine. And again, it was, I don't know. I feel bad. I mean, and I'm allergic to cats, but I don't care. You know what I mean? It's like, guess what? There's a Benadryl. I'm fine. I'm good.
I actually miss cats. I'd have cats too, but my wife and daughter are like you. They're allergic to cats.
It is.
But
tough.
I was raised with cats and dogs my entire life until I met my wife, and I couldn't have cats anymore. But definitely have had many dogs in my life. You're also involved with the Tourette Association. Why was that such a cause you wanted to get involved with as well?
They reached out about 4 years ago, and I thought, you know what? It's just something that touched me because I thought, what? We've all got something. We've all got, and it's funny because there's different forms, and I was learning this too. I remember because again, as a child, I was very, very, I would say I was very, very nervous to be around people. I had super anxiety. I started picking up like tics and stuff, just weird little habits of rapid eye movement and just like little things with my neck. And I'm like, wow, wait a minute, what's going on? And my mom even sent me to a psychiatrist. Like, we need to look into what's going on here. And it stemmed from, again, I was terrified of people. And I noticed they would come around usually when I either out of excitement or nerves, I pick up these little tics and things. I'm like, wow, what's going on here? And I just watched an interview last week with a girl that had, and obviously there's some that are very severe, and some that you won't even notice, and some that can get through it. And you don't even notice when you pick up on certain things. I'm like, wait a minute, oh, you just did that little, and I think it's, again, we all have something.
Yeah, we self-diagnose and think that's what it is, right? And then that takes you to learning more about it, and then you come to find out in certain terms it isn't it, which is great. But then you want to do something, and that's what I love about why we should always be learning. And then when we learn, what we can do to help the rest of society and be better. So props to you with what you're doing and learning.
I think it was Janet Jackson said, knowledge is power, man. The more you know, the more you're equipped to, because there's nothing worse than sitting in a conversation when you know nothing about, and you're sitting there. And I've had plenty of moments in my life where I've been in a conversation with people far more like, why am I even here? And I'm just sitting there like, I can't chime in on anything because I have no idea what you're talking about. So I want to know a little bit about everything and everybody's struggle, everybody's journey, everybody's, fears. And it's just because we're all in this together. We're all human. We all have certain things. And like I said, being a part of this pandemic thing, where it's almost like I went out to a friend's event last night, and I'd say, honestly, there was about 70% of me that was just like, I don't want to go out. Not because I don't want to get dressed and get ready and find parking, but it's just this like, wow, be around strangers.
And we're still in a pandemic, y'all.
Yeah.
Which a lot of people forget. We are still in a pandemic.
We are. People are still coming down with it, still catching stuff. So I'm thinking I'm very mindful of that, and I don't want to be the guy that's like, okay, So it really, I'm much more sensitive now, and the older I get, I'm much more sensitive to people, to what they're going through, and what they might be. What's that old saying too? Always treat people with kindness and love, because you never know what they're going through. It's true. They might be battling something far greater than what we even can, even think about. And it's just, like I said, when I lost a pet, my baby Bells, I mean, I was a wreck, crying myself to sleep for weeks. And I didn't want to be around people. You know what I mean? I couldn't put on a happy face. And I just watched a documentary remember Richard Simmons, that guy that was like the fitness guru? There was a documentary on him on Hulu, and he just disappeared. And you're like, where did he go? What did he do? So I think you're at this level of being this motivational guy that loves everybody, that's trying to help everybody, that's kind and caring and giving. And all of a sudden, now he's got a knee where he can barely walk on, and he doesn't feel comfortable with the way he's aging, and he can't help people like the way he did. He just chooses not to be around people. And I get that too. I'm like, wow, that's gotta be, I can relate to that, because again, we're all dealing with something. And I think, and a big part of it for him was he had a handful of Dalmatians, I think 4 to 5 Dalmatians for years. And he just lost his last one, and that just took him over the edge. And I'm like, I can totally relate to that.
Hell yeah.
It's really, it's that depression is real. And it's
totally. You can only be on, right, for so long, where then the next best, where you have to totally exercise that self-care and pull back to deal with you, in order to then be, if you want to go on again or not, you know what I'm saying?
Or not.
That's what we have to do as a people, and that's how things are going to just get better, and with everything we're going through. Again, I think this has been such an amazing conversation, my friend. We've given so many pro tips, and I think to end it off with all the pro tips that we're giving right now, as in regards to the life, acting is just always forever be a student, always be learning, because we don't know it all yet. Some of us may think we do. If you think you do, then you've already failed. And in order to be a long-term success, you should always be forever learning. And David, man, I've learned so much, and I got to have you back. And as you have these other projects that come through, please come back so we can give you that love and light to promote it, and just keep you going on with what you're doing, because we all need that support.
I love it.
Especially in this industry, brother.
Keep you posted on your journey all the way, man. All the way to the top. Please always let me know what you got going on and cooking and stuff too, man. Please.
Definitely, dude. Man, I love you. And Kira, you're amazing dog. You're just chilling this whole time. David, how can my people reach out to you? Let me throw those socials. I know you got off of Facebook, but you do have a Twitter and you do have an IG. I'm gonna put it in the description below, but how can they reach out to you?
Dynamite Dork. That's it.
And and actually I wanted to ask you, because we are Nerds Rule the World. Nerds are dorks. Where did Dynamite Dork come from?
Because I've always, like I said, going back to day one, I've always been a big dork. And it wasn't really cool back then, as you know, in the 80s. Oh, you're a dork. But now it's kind of, like I said, we kind of do rule the world. Nerds and dorks, we're kind of, because I think we're a little bit more lighthearted, a little bit more fun than the average stuffy, conceited, cocky dude. So I'm a dork at heart, just like you. And I think it's just, I'm gonna embrace this whole dork thing.
Hell yeah, dude. David Banks, y'all. Dynamite Dork. Show him love, give him a follow, and just let's keep him up in support with all this journey of life and entertainment. I definitely am gonna have him back when he's available to just talk about everything that's going on with life and just this creative journey. Man, this has been an inspiring and just an amazing conversation, David. Thank you so much. Brother. Love you too, bro. Shout out to Marsha Fink. It's your boy Kuya P. This is Nerds Rule the World. We're out of here.